She looked at him differently now, as if she were trying to peer through him and see what angle he was playing. But there was no angle. Just Ethan, covered in grease, wiping his hands on a rag that had seen better days, already turning toward his workbench. She leaned back against the fender, folding her arms across her chest as if trying to protect herself, not from danger, but from unfamiliar kindness. "You always fix cars for free?" she asked, trying to make sense of it. "Only when someone looks like they need help more than I need the money," he said with a half-smile, not looking up from the tools. That caught her off guard. She lowered her sunglasses and studied him, truly seeing him for the first time, sun-aged skin, thick forearms, eyes that looked like they'd seen a lot and complained little. "You don't even know my name." "Doesn't matter," he said. "But if it makes you feel better, I'm Ethan." She hesitated a moment, then extended a hand. "Lila." "Nice to meet you, Lila. Now, you hungry? I've got a thermos of bad coffee and a sandwich that might kill you." That earned him a laugh, small, unpolished, but real. The first she'd probably had in days. "I'll take my chances," she said, smiling faintly. They sat on a crate and an overturned tire, sipping lukewarm coffee as the wind picked up and carried the scent of dust and gasoline. For a moment, the brokenness of the car, the shop, and even themselves seemed less heavy. "So," Ethan said, breaking the silence, "what brings a city car like yours out here in the middle of nowhere?" Lila hesitated, tapping her fingernail on the rim of the paper cup. "I needed to get away. I thought driving across the state would help me reset." "That sounds like someone's running from something." She looked up sharply, then relaxed. "Maybe I am." Ethan didn't push. He just nodded like he understood, because he did. "I used to drive like that after my brother died," he said quietly. "Miles and miles with no destination. Hoping the road would take the pain with it." Lila looked at him with soft eyes now, her tone gentler. "I'm sorry." He shrugged. "It was a long time ago. He was younger than me. We grew up fixing cars together. After he passed, the shop got real quiet. And you stayed. Someone had to keep the lights on. And besides," he said, gesturing to the rows of dusty tools and worn parts, "this place remembers him." Lila stared at him, the silence between them growing deeper, more meaningful. She hadn't expected depth in a backroad garage. She hadn't expected honesty, either. "I just ended a 10-year relationship with a man who measured love by how useful I was to him," she said suddenly. "He called me dramatic for wanting more than meetings and mergers. So I took the car and left. No map. No plan." Ethan just nodded. "Sometimes it takes losing everything to find out what you're worth." She smiled faintly. "You always talk like a Hallmark movie." "Only on Tuesdays," he grinned. They sat in companionable silence while Ethan worked and Lila watched, occasionally handing him tools, sipping stale coffee, and slowly letting her shoulders relax. The sun moved across the sky, casting long shadows over the gravel lot. When the job was done, Ethan gave the engine a final inspection and shut the hood. "She's good to go. Just don't push her too hard until you get the battery replaced in the city." "And the cost?" she asked again. "Still free," he said. She looked at him, her voice hushed. "You could have charged me anything. I'd have paid it. I was desperate." "Exactly why I didn't," he replied. She stepped closer, pulled something from her purse, a crisp stack of hundreds. He gently pushed it back into her hand. "Use it for gas. Or a better sandwich." Lila swallowed hard. No one had ever refused her money. No one had ever helped her without expecting something in return. "Why are you like this?" she whispered. Ethan scratched his chin. "Because somewhere, a long time ago, someone helped me when they didn't have to. I just try to keep the cycle going." She stood there, staring at him, unsure what to say. In that moment, something changed, not in Ethan, but in her. The woman who had arrived that morning tired, bitter, and lost, now stood still, centered by something she couldn't quite explain. "Can I take a picture of you?" she asked. "A picture," he laughed. "I'm covered in grease." "Exactly," she said. "It's real." He rolled his eyes but obliged. She snapped a quick shot of him leaning against the car, arms crossed, the garage in the background. She didn't say what she'd do with it, and he didn't ask. She got into the car, rolled down the window, and looked back at him. "Thank you, Ethan. For more than just the fix." "Take care, Lila," he said, raising his hand as she pulled away. She drove off, the dust rising behind her. And Ethan stood in the silence once again, watching the horizon where she disappeared, thinking it had just been another day. He didn't see her pull over 2 miles down the road and make a call. He didn't hear her say, "I just met someone you need to know about." He didn't know her last name. And he definitely didn't know the world was about to show up at his door. The next morning, Ethan Cole woke up like he did every day, with the sun pouring in through the threadbare curtains of his small upstairs apartment above the garage, the smell of oil still lingering in the walls, and the sound of silence greeting him like an old friend. He stretched, pulled on his work boots, and shuffled down to the garage with a mug of reheated coffee in one hand. Another slow day, probably. Maybe an old tractor or someone's busted AC. But as he pushed open the squeaky metal doors, something strange caught his eye. A car. Then another. Then another. He blinked, thinking he was still half-dreaming. But no, there they were, lined up neatly along the dusty road leading to his shop. Not just any cars either, sleek, expensive machines gleaming in the morning light. A cherry-red Ferrari. A matte black Tesla Model S Plaid. A Rolls-Royce Phantom with the spirit of ecstasy glinting like gold. They were stacked down the road like a dealership lot, engines humming quietly, windows tinted, their owners standing nearby like statues. Ethan stepped out, stunned, grease-stained rag in one hand, coffee forgotten in the other. "Can I help you folks?" he called out, wary, confused, wondering if he was about to be arrested for unknowingly fixing a drug lord's car. A tall man in a three-piece suit approached with a warm smile and extended a hand. "You're Ethan Cole." "That's me," Ethan said, gripping the hand like a lifeline. "Name's Marcus Bell. I'm from Bell Automotive Group. I read about you this morning." "Well, everyone did." "Everyone?" Ethan echoed, his voice unsure. Another man stepped forward, handing Ethan a tablet. On it was a news article titled, "The Kindest Mechanic in America, Woman Escapes Toxic Life, Finds Healing in Small-Town Garage." Ethan's photo was right there, grease-streaked, tired-eyed, leaning against Lila's car. "What the?" Ethan mumbled, scrolling. The article was everywhere. CNN. HuffPost. BuzzFeed. TikTok videos stitched with Lila's story had gone viral overnight. She hadn't just taken a picture. She had told the world about him. In detail. About his generosity. His brother. His honesty. She called him a living miracle. A man who proved there was still good in the world. After she posted it, Marcus said, people started sharing their own stories. "Turns out you've been quietly helping folks in this town for years." "That was just what I was supposed to do," Ethan muttered. "Exactly," Marcus said. "That's why you're special." By noon, the line of cars had tripled. Social media influencers. Retired billionaires. Even a movie star who refused to get out of his Bugatti until Ethan blessed it with a quick inspection. Some people came for real repairs. Others came to simply shake his hand. Still others offered donations, sponsorships, brand deals. One woman offered to fly him to New York to rebuild her father's vintage Aston Martin, with a blank check. Ethan, overwhelmed, stood among the chaos, his phone vibrating endlessly in his pocket, reporters at his gate, and townsfolk driving by honking in support. Even the mayor showed up, grinning like a proud uncle. "We're putting your name on the welcome sign," he said. Ethan Cole, home of America's most honest mechanic. Ethan just chuckled and shook his head. All he had done was fix a car. By mid-afternoon, the donations had piled up enough to repair his entire shop, twice over. But more than the money, it was the energy. The joy. People hugged him. Cried in front of him. One young woman said she was about to give up on people until she read Lila's post. An old man from across the state said Ethan reminded him of his late son. Strangers, all drawn by the same rare thing, sincerity without strings. And just when the whirlwind couldn't spin any faster, a silver Lexus pulled up. Lila stepped out, wearing jeans this time, her hair down, her face softer. "Looks like I started a storm," she said, walking toward him with a smile. Ethan just laughed. "That what you do? Drop grenades of kindness and walk away." "I didn't do anything." "You did," she said. "I just told the truth." He looked around, then back at her. "I don't even know what to do with all this." "Start by fixing a car," she said, pointing toward him and waving his keys. "The world's watching." He smiled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Guess I better not mess up." "No pressure," she teased, falling into step beside him. Over the next few days, Ethan's life changed completely, but he didn't. The garage got a fresh coat of paint. He hired 3 local kids he used to mentor at the high school. A brand sent him new tools. A nonprofit offered to sponsor free car clinics once a month for struggling families. His small-town shop became a hub, not for fame, but for goodness. Even when the buzz died down, the reputation remained. People trusted Ethan. They came not just for repairs, but for stories, for coffee, for advice. And Lila. She stayed. She rented a small house nearby and began helping him build something sustainable, managing logistics, organizing the flow, helping him say yes and no when needed. She had found something here, something pure, and for the first time in a long time, she felt home. The two of them, wounded in different ways but whole in each other's presence, turned the garage into something sacred. No glitz. No ego. Just purpose. One evening, after the last car had left and the sun was sliding behind the fields, Ethan stood outside, wiping his hands, staring at the new sign Lila had hung earlier that day. "Fixed with heart." He chuckled. "You really hung that up, huh?" "It's true," she said, stepping beside him. "It's not about what you fix. It's how you fix it." He looked at her for a long moment, the air quiet between them, the town humming softly in the background. "You ever think maybe your car didn't break down by accident?" he asked. "Maybe it broke down to get you here." She smiled. "I've been thinking that every day since." He offered her his hand, not for a shake, but for something more lasting. She took it. Together, they walked back into the garage, the stars coming out above them like the world was smiling down. And outside, along the road, another car quietly pulled in, headlights dimmed, waiting for Ethan Cole, the man who asked for nothing and gave everything.